Hi Rashmi,
How are you, sir? How are you doing?
good to be with you.
It's good to be with you as well because finally I get to talk about something that I've always loved talking about, books and books. First of all, thank you so much for having agreed to talk to Mentor Magazine about reading and a
Yeah.
whole lot of things that come with it. So, if we are fine, we could get started with the first question that came to my mind when Farah asked me, if I would be, if I'd love to talk to you, and I said yes. So, I just want to know, does the school library still attract students or not?
Yes, it does. Only if you have a librarian who understands what books are.
Uh-huh.
And for me, in my life, I have worked with schools I've lost count of.
Mm-hmm.
Library only attracts children because of the person there, not because of the books there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've answered your question in a very different way.
Yes, yes. No, I agree. I agree. It's the librarian who actually pulls in the students than the books themselves. A guide, sort of, who can.
Yeah, the most important person in school is actually the librarian, not the principal.
That's a wonderful perspective. I'd like to hear more about
Because
it.
yes, absolutely. So what happens in schools, I I'll give you a personal experience. I happen to have reformed the Fab India school, which is a 20-year-old school,
Mm,
which
mm,
was trying to find a meaning why it existed.
mm,
So Fab India invited me 212 to come onto the trust.
mm,
They didn't just bring me onto the trust, they made me the chairman and they said, okay, this is the school, do what you want with it.
mm.
The first thing I did in that school is I started going there and sitting in the library and reading.
Oh, wow.
That's all I
Okay.
did, nothing else.
Okay.
And and the school changed. Today, the story of the school went all over the world. I thought I'd give you a personal narrative. I just sat in the library and read. And if it was cold in the library, I'd be sitting under the tree and reading.
Mm.
So teachers would walk up to me, "आप क्या पढ़ रहे हैं sir?" I said, "लो." But that's it. So from 212 till 214, I didn't even tell anyone to read. And
Okay.
suddenly in 214, sir, can you get this book? Sir, can you get more of this book? And it started. And in 217, 17 out of those 22 teachers who became voracious readers.
Wow.
And once the teachers became readers, then there was no stopping. Then the battle was already won. Because when teachers carry books around in school, which is the second point I'm mentioning to
Mm.
you, this is my second prescription I tell schools, let the teachers not read. Issue them a book every month and
Mhm.
have them be seen with books all over the campus. I said,
Oh.
let them not read. So when they are seen with books all over the campus, children understand that teacher ने यहाँ किताब पकड़ी हुई है, किताब कितनी precious है.
Mm, mm,
किताब का
mm.
मतलब क्या है, किताब का कलर क्या है, किताब के अंदर क्या है. वो किताब दो चार बार देखेंगे टीचर के हाथ में, they'll go end up buying, getting, picking up the book and
Yes.
at least opening it. The teacher puts it somewhere. And
Yes.
if a teacher uses 12 books a year, she will open one home.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's the whole story. That's what I'm saying. And principals don't read. The anomaly or the tragedy in India is principals don't read.
Oh, okay.
If I go to Finland, I'll find principals reading. If I go to America, I'll find principals reading. If I go to
Mm.
Singapore, I'll find principals reading. But in India, principals don't read. I'm giving you a very hard statement. You will find maybe in
Mm.
interaction schools people read, but otherwise principals don't read. They tell others to read.
Which brings me to my third question because this was supposed to be third question and the second was different. I'll come to that. We blame children that they don't read. But somewhere, as an educator, I'm sure you'll agree that reading has to be passed on from the parents, whoever it is. It could be a principal, as you said, it could be an engineer, doctor, anybody in any vocation. Because I started reading only because my father was a voracious reader. So I used to pick these little books from his library and start reading. It could be the Huckleberry Finn Adventures, Tom Sawyer, and then as I aged, he had recommendations. But what I see is when parents blame that their children don't read, I don't see the parent reading either. So as an educator, do you think that's where they need to start, perhaps, to get into school and get into a library?
I will give you an interesting answer for this one now.
Yeah.
Before a child is born, the
Mm.
mother has to have books around the home
Okay.
to warm the hearth. Look at the word I've used, hearth.
Warm the hearth.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what happens is that if there are books around and the mother has an empathetic outlook towards books and she sleeps with
Mm.
a book by her side,
Mm.
whenever the child comes and the child sees the first thing by the side of the mother is the book,
Mm.
then the child starts feeling the books.
Mm.
If a child has books all around, it makes a lot of difference. You're very right on that.
Mm.
But the most important part, which I think we forget, an average Indian home doesn't have a book. The books
Mm.
are only in the school bag, which is never opened at home.
Mm. Mm.
So now tell me, when there are no books seen at home, how can you have a culture of reading?
Absolutely.
And people today are debating that reading is this, reading is that. I said, it doesn't matter. I said, you don't realize that reading is reading. I read as much on the screen as much off the screen.
Mm.
You see what's around? This is my library.
Yes. I saw the bookshelf behind.
There's no one else in this room. It's only me.
It's only you.
It's only me. It's 600 square feet. There must be at least 800 books around. Of course, large number I've read. And it's not my bookstore. My bookstore is below.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's not my bookstore. Don't get carried away by thinking this is the bookstore. The bookstore, which is 101 years, is below this.
Mm-hmm.
I just sit here and read. I come here to do this conversation because I have nice equipment here. I come here to read on Saturdays and Sundays. That's the
Mm-hmm.
reading program we have. We read
Yeah.
Saturdays and Sundays at my good school. So,
Mm.
and I think that's the game changer in a school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
if you're seeing books around home,
Mm.
which you are very right when you say parents don't read and parents expect teachers to drill
Mm.
down the habit of reading.
Mm.
Interesting thing I'll tell you. A lot of children attend schools in middle years in schools different from their primary years. They change after primary to middle to a school
Mm.
which has a better perspective for middle and senior years. So
Mm.
they may want a boarding school, they may want an international school, they
Mm.
may want a different kind of school. Parents have decided that the junior school is now enough. My child
Mm.
has to go to a school where the child will be in a more progressive environment.
Mm.
People sit for entrance exams for schools
Okay.
and they come to the bookstore and ask, what should we read? So I tell them one thing that the interesting bit is you should not even think what you should read whatever you find. That's the first thing. And
Mm.
second thing which I've discovered with data and statistics is children who read get through any entrance exam in any school. They
Okay.
don't need the tuitions and help and all that. So it automatically gives you more to your thought that they just make their way through. And there is a tuition industry for helping you prepare, like you have people preparing you for careers after
Yes.
10 plus 2. There's a huge industry, and I
Yes.
personally, in my home, have someone who thrives on this. But the
Mm-hmm.
secret about this is I tell them, well, don't go anywhere, just read.
Mm. 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 I
Next
agree.
question. So, next question.
We are addressing that issue in this month's mentor as the white elephant in the room
Okay.
of coaching centers and this thing. So there comes my second question to you as to how were your reading habits formed as a young man?
Yeah, yeah,
How did you?
absolutely. Brilliant. And I was born in a bookshop. First, remember that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, but that's not enough because my father was, I'm sorry, he's no more. He was just a 10th pass, a
Mm.
metric pass. And metric pass of 60s is far better than a postgraduate of the current times in terms of
Yes.
skills, knowledge. I mean, my father
Yes.
could draft a lawyer's plea and sub
Mm.
peona and
Mm.
everything. He was metric pass. And today I meet people who are postgraduates and they can't
Mm.
write an A4 page in one
Yes.
A4 page about anything I ask them to write. So
Yes.
that's the sad part. So addressing your question, the interesting bit is I had a bookshop, so I had an advantage. It's like it's a silver spoon. But then my mother has been a postgraduate in Sanskrit.
Okay.
So she was also the captain of IP college, the
Mm-hmm.
college captain. And my mother was the literary kind.
Mm-hmm.
So she would read the Ramayana portions to us. She would read the Bhagavad Gita portions to us.
Mm-hmm.
She would help us and sit down, and actually when we wanted to do any kind of study, she would make sure she's sitting and knitting with us and
Okay.
not looking into a device.
Hmm.
She's sitting and doing some pickle making and put me in the kitchen and say, okay, you sit here
Hmm.
and do your work. So we didn't have this concept that I'm sitting in my study and doing my homework. No, we
Hmm.
had to sit around where she was, and she would make sure that when we were studying, she was around. So this
Hmm.
answers the whole question and scenario. The bookshop, her being very well read and a master's, and then she moved from New Delhi to a village called Firozpur.
Okay, Firozpur. Huh.
And even then, I managed to get this culture of reading and learning from her and didn't get carried away by the rural environment. I mean, I have nothing against rural environment, but yes, there is lack of opportunity there in
Yes.
terms of books and reading.
Yes. And in fact, you brought up this wonderful point of screen time during dinner or lunch. I mean, it's quite a rarity to find people not looking into their screens, and that's a whole different issue. But yeah, somewhere when you said you own a bookstore, it's my dream to have a bookstore someday as well. I mean,
Well,
that's what
you can do a tour of the bookstore online. There are enough videos of that bookstore.
I will, sir. I will. I certainly will
There's a
because I
website, englishbookdepot.com.
that is my retirement plan. Whenever I retire, I think I will retire and spend my last days in my bookstore, making sure that people get to read, children get to read. But that also brings me to this monologue of Captain BT that I read like 2 months ago in Fahrenheit 451, where I think a chill ran down my spine in that monologue, where he actually says that someday that this entertainment that they have tailor made for screens is actually going to make people stop thinking for that matter and stop growing intellectually because they're keeping people away from books. That is what he tried saying because I think he was bringing in the issues of censorship as well there. Are we very close to what his predictions were, or are we living it? Because he actually said people are going to stop thinking and just what we do doom
Yeah.
scrolling today. He had predicted that in 1953. Are we
You know, Ray Kurzweil has written a book, Creating the Human Mind.
okay?
Creating the Human Mind. And he says the neocortex is expanded out of your physical
Hmm.
head.
Hmm.
Everything is going into the neocortex.
Mm-hmm.
And neocortex is actually, he is talking, is the metaphysical space around you.
Mm-hmm.
As there's so much access to data in the cloud, you will not keep anything inside you,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very uncanny way of a similarity to what you're saying. So the
Hmm.
neocortex will explode. It's already exploded, not explode. So all your information, the brain is actually outside now. But the interesting bit after that is that he says, as we have understood the structure of the brain, we are now in a position today to actually create the brain. And we
Yes.
are talking about singularity. We are talking, you mentioned Fahrenheit 451. I have been reading recently about creating the human mind.
Hmm.
So, how the human mind is actually almost being created with human skills and technology.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Now, if that being the case, I know they are scary times because next time you'll say, okay, let me just pour the book inside your neocortex.
Yes. That's scary. That's scary, actually. Oh God, yes. Yes, it's because whenever I hear people, especially the Gen Z, and I don't blame the Gen Z because there are a lot of young readers I find in bookstores where I go. There's a familiar bookstore named the Bookworm on Church Street in Bangalore, and I find a lot of young readers. But at the same time, I've also seen another large section of parents my age and their children saying that we don't have the attention span while they have like the attention span to go through like 100 reels which offer them nothing on Instagram, they don't have the attention span to even read a small book either from Ruskin Bond or to go through a Harry Potter series. Are we have we become subservient to this perception that our attention span has kind of reduced and we can't do anything about it, or do, like for instance, reading groups or reading, communities, can they help them out with it?
I think we're evolving. We are not, we haven't lost the attention span. We are adapting to staying connected with the neocortex outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure this is something very different you would have expected. But what is happening is we are adapting to be sensorially connected to everything around us 360. We are
Mm-hmm.
actually becoming more adaptive.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be able to read faster, we'll be able to absorb faster, we'll be able to think faster.
Mm-hmm.
So if you talk about Moore's law, which some people say is dead today, Moore's law is very simple that the semiconductors every 2 years can absorb 20 times more. But now Moore's law finishes one day because NVIDIA makes a processor and it expands 100 times in one day.
Okay.
So you can fit that much more data in one transistor.
Hmm.
So if you look at it that way, that's exactly what's happening to us. Even if you see a million reels, every reel will leave a bite somewhere or the other. Remember that.
Hmm.
And when you do art on canvas and you have a brush, you just chuck paint on the canvas without thinking, it
Hmm.
creates art.
Hmm.
That's the world we are in.
Hmm.
That we are on a canvas where we are spraying colors from all around day and night without logic, without thought, and we are
Hmm.
creating something which we feel will itself be something new. So, yes, you may find this funny because in our generation, we've not seen people stuck up, sitting so glued. By the way, I don't have a phone in this room at the moment. When I'm,
Wow. Wonderful.
I don't have a phone here at all. I do get an odd WhatsApp message when you get it on my
Huh,
screen.
huh, huh.
I have that on my computer, but I don't have a phone in this room.
I envy
So,
you.
so when I enter this room, I leave my phone down on my desk.
Hmm.
And just before I had this call, I was actually sleeping for an hour. There's a little couch here. So I
Hmm.
sleep every afternoon because I get up at 5. I write in the morning. I read in the morning. So by
Hmm.
about 3, I
Hmm.
find that I'm zoned out.
Oh, I hope
So
I
now
didn't
this,
disturb you,
no,
though.
no, no. That's why I gave 4. I don't meet anyone between 2 and 4. That's part of
Mm-hmm.
my cycle. So what I'm going to answer your question very differently now. So when I'm looking at a reel, possibly I'm a person who sees visual stimulus as my way of absorbing anything.
Hmm.
Don't consider it junk or not junk because nothing junk. Whatever's created, there's a thought behind the creation. So
Hmm.
that's not a question of junk. Sometimes I may be one person who takes more by the ear, by the sound. Sometimes maybe a person who takes more by the touch.
Hmm.
So depending on what your stronger fifth sense is,
Hmm.
one of the five, you
Hmm.
get carried away with that as a way forward.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So sometimes back we didn't have so much stimulus around us. So we said ये किताब है इसी के साथ बैठना पड़ेगा ये अखबार पढ़ना पड़ेगा. But now the stimuli has increased, so have people, and so have the reasons to be connected with stimuli. And that's why if you see even in your jobs, every stimuli has a different meaning altogether. A guy who has to create digital
Hmm.
media obviously has to be stimulated with digital media. If I have to
Hmm.
write,
Hmm.
I still write with a pencil and rubber every day. So you have a choice. Now, what is important today in this world today is to be sure that the choice meets you and you meet the choice.
Okay.
We've gone way
Hmm.
beyond your reading discussion.
No, no, no. I kind of wanted to, kind of, I'm glad we're having this conversation. But you said that if we are evolving as such, if we are actually, kind of, our mind is evolving to take in a lot more stimuli than what was, our previous cranial capacity. Somewhere, don't you think our consumption of content should also become a little platforms, but children today are framing their, I mean, my idea of feminism or my idea of empathy or my idea of bonding came from books, my generation. It came from Tom Sawyer, it came from David Copperfield, it came from so many other, the Panchatantra, everything that we were, kind of the Ramayana, Mahabharata, chaos, and whatever we were, taught. today the perception of society is being framed by social media, and children actually walk up to I've had children walking up to me and saying that feminism is not relevant today because every woman on Instagram is having a lavish life, but she complains a lot. Somewhere, this evolving cranial capacity should also perhaps go to a proper source of content. It could be any reading material for that matter, not just fiction, non-fiction, also, blogs or other, let's say, articles which are written to help human mind understand, younger minds understand basic harsh realities than just rely upon social media and the visually appealing platforms.
Okay. The word which you see today is only 2 centuries old. There was no script before that. And we have lived a few thousand years, even if we talk of history of middle and now.
Yes.
So why are we so stuck up in saying that what we read in the form of word is reading?
Okay, another perspective.
Also
Wow.
remember another thing. A child from the age of -1 to +4 is the best adaptive learner. Your words are the muktalims, they are the devils. They
Okay.
destroy his cranial capacity.
All
And
right.
if your words and script don't destroy my cranial capacity, I would have had a much larger brain. They acted in a way to confine my brain in the skull. Because you said this is called this is how it is written, and this is how you're supposed to tell me. And that just because I could not understand what is in your mind being an adult, because I was so fixated, could not understand you when you were saying goo goo gaga gaga gaga. I said, no, you say Baba, and then only I'll understand you. So the challenge for us is we like what we want to see. We want people because we like reading. But why?
Yes. Why is the question?
Yeah, but why? I can learn without reading. The tribals are learning much more. They do by behavioral change. And when you talk of reading, it has to come behaviorally. I've already said earlier in the day, where you see what's happening around you, you absorb. This is a priority to your mom, you'll read. So similarly, your mom, if your mom doesn't read and your mom is deaf and dumb, or even visually challenged, then where you think I'm not living.
I get your point. I
So why
totally
are
get
we
your
so obsessed? Why are we so obsessed with the book, script, reading books? I know I have a bookstore. I know in 1923, my grandfather set up a bookstore. People asked him, why are you opening a bookshop? So he said, some days people will realize the value of books. And today, 101 years down the line, his Gen 4, his grandson, I call Gen 4 because my father got it from my grandfather. My mother got it from my father. I grew up with my mother really, because my mother ran the bookstore from 1971. So I consider myself Gen 4 because my mother technically came in the hierarchy of people who were drivers behind the store spirit. So when I look at it this way and I realize that nothing has changed in 101 years, so why are we having this debate? 101 years back, we were saying people should read. 101 years down the line, people should read. 200 years back, we didn't have a script. People were still reading. They were
People were
reading
still
minds.
reading each other.
They were reading
Yes.
minds. Yeah.
They were reading minds. They were
They were
reading
reading
each other.
minds. And so now this is where we are coming. We are reaching to a stage where our minds will automatically talk to each other without knowing. Your mind is talking with my mind just now. You don't realize it. That's where we've
Yes.
reached. Now,
Yes.
if you were there at the TIC conference and Kathleen, I fell in love with her.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I've actually acknowledged my fervor and ardor for her, even a message the other day also. I said, there's some people you just fall in love with in life, and you're one of them. I didn't lose my heart to anyone earlier in life beyond books, but I lost my heart to that beautiful lady.
All
Because
right.
conveying. She was able to
Hmm.
communicate, and
Hmm.
communication does not require a script. It does not require a language. It does not require a
Hmm.
book.
Hmm. Hmm. I agree. I completely agree.
So which is
I
what
heard your comment
I
actually.
said. Where are we? Where are you? Where are you?
So I heard your comment. I mean, Kathleen was quite happy to hear that. I kind of agreed. But where I come from with my point is that the reason why I am more obsessed with people reading is because I don't see even not just children, I don't see us reading people anymore around us.
I
But our
agree with
emotional
I
intelligence
agree with you.
has,
No, I agree with you. Today, our mind is losing stillness.
hmm,
Okay, why we are losing stillness? Because there are wireless waves around, there are Bluetooth waves around. So
hmm,
actually, our mind is in a hyper state,
hmm, hmm, hmm,
and we definitely need reading as a form of meditation.
hmm,
Because when you read, then you imagine, you think,
hmm,
you create a script in your mind, and when you create a script in your mind, you will communicate better.
hmm,
So I always say you have to first connect.
hmm,
Second, you have to communicate.
hmm.
Third, you have to collaborate,
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
and then you will create. And this is what reading does. You
hmm,
first connect with the book communicates to you, the book or the script, you collaborate with it, and you create
hmm.
something.
Huh.
And that's the beauty of reading.
So,
Connect,
as an educator, how
communicate,
do you, yes.
collaborate, create. And the beautiful part, see the alphabets. Connect will come before communicate, communicate will come before collaborate, and collaborate will
Collaborate?
come before create.
Wow,
That's a TED talk, isn't
that's a wonderful TED talk. I'm going to use this as a quote in my magazine, actually. But by the way, I'm sorry I didn't ask you. What are you reading as of now?
Yeah, that's a hard question. Currently, I'm reading Ratan Tata's book, That Fat One by Matthew. I'm
Mm-hmm.
reading The Inner Life of Animals, two, and I
Right.
am reading My Name is Cinnamon, three, and
Okay.
I'm reading The Man Who Saw Tomorrow, Show Me Das, four. There is a time for every book, there is a day for every book in the week. There's a time of the day when I read. So I'm reading four
Mm-hmm.
books together at the moment. And this is something new I've learned recently. Read multiple books together depending on time. And that partially answers a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
reading challenges. Why should I be expected to be reading a book all the time? Why should I not be picking up the book at a time when I feel for the book? And when I feel for the book, I'll absorb it.
Mm-hmm. I'm yet to get there though. I'd love to do
It took me
that.
a while. It took me a while. And the interesting bit is I read on a Kindle. I bought a Kindle. Of course, you see all the books around. There are very few on my Kindle, but the Kindle books are really used one when I'm reading to people on screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I read every Saturday for 45 minutes, like I'm talking to you just now. So I read,
Uh-huh.
and the book is screencast by a colleague of mine, and with a
Mm.
mouse, the text moves like that, so you can actually follow what we're reading. So this is
Oh
known as a
wow.
master class for teachers. This happens Saturday, 45 minutes, 5:30 p.m. It's happened from eternity. Every Sunday morning, 2 hours we read. There are four of us. We all have a book we are reading. We read for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then we talk to the audience. And
Mm-hmm.
after talking to the audience, we leave behind points for reflection.
Oh wow.
The points for reflection you are supposed to think and write in the Joy of Learning diary, which is the blog. So
Mm-hmm.
now this is going to answer a lot of your questions.
Mm-hmm.
So the art of reading is converting to art of thinking, that is converting to the art of reflection, and
Mm-hmm.
that is converting into a blog, a video log, a podcast, a reel if you want to make it, a
Mm-hmm.
sketch if you want to make it. So we are
Mm-hmm.
absorbing all mediums whom you think some of them may be your devils, but we are
Mm-hmm.
absorbing them all creatively in creating the Joy of Learning diaries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing. That's what we really call. That's the school we are running at the moment.
Keeping their attention focused for like 2 hours, I think is
Very
a one.
easy. Very easy. Very easy. Very easy. Very easy. It's very
It's
easy on.
quite meditative as well. It's like you're focused on one thing, and when you're reading something out, and I'm kind of focused on it. How have I mean, this is for educators and teachers, right? That you mostly do work around with,
Yeah. So
especially these
Saturday
sessions.
evening is focused on teachers. while Sunday is focused on students, community, teachers, anyone, because we only work with schools. So it's difficult for us to work on a B2C model simply because we don't want a Zoom room to get, destroyed.
Okay.
So what we do is we work with 25 schools year on year. This is the Good Schools Alliance, which I'm asking TIC to think about and look at it as a opportunity to partner. But these guys are too busy getting to understand TIC before they understanding how they can go ahead. Let them take the time. So what I'm telling them is what's an important part. What we do is every year we make a cohort of 25 schools. Now I'm addressing your reading challenge.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked me this question at this hour. So we said, okay, Mr. Sandeep Dutt, your bookshop's been around for 100 years. First 25 years went about the English and British buying books from us, so we had no challenge whatsoever. Then came the partition. And when partition came and the British books became expensive, inaccessible, India didn't have an education system. So we created Indian reprints and cheaper books in India so people will continue to buy books. That was 25 years. Now, after those 25 years went by, then we realized what next. Then we started creating our own authors and people who could write. Then that ecosystem came that beyond just reprinting books, we started having Indian books coming by Indian authors. Then 75 years down the line, we had the books, we had the author, we just didn't have readers. So we created a book cafe. We created a book cafe. I said, let's do a cafe inside the bookstore so people will come.
Okay.
Now, 25 years, by the way, in 2002, the first book cafe in the country was my bookstore.
Wow.
So now 22 years I've had Barista with me in the same bookstore. This is the only Barista location in the country which has not changed in 22 years. So it says a lot.
That's quite
Now 100 years down the line when we realized that, okay, book cafe has met its story. So we said, okay, now let's open a reading room online. And that's why we opened My Good School. So we are celebrating 100 years of the bookstore by opening a school. The school for reading, the school for reflection, and school for relationships. And this works through schools because schools have a challenge. They can't do reading, reflection, and relationships because the teachers don't understand what reading, reflection, and relationship is. Now, because school teachers don't understand this so school said, why don't you create a master class wherein we will send a few teachers, 5, 10 from every school, and those teachers then can be the catalyst in the learning system. So that's why the Saturday master class was created. But like I said, in a class, you can have only 25 children. So we can only handle 20, 25 schools in a cohort. And then our school cohort is very interesting. We have 20 schools who pay 25,000 an annum subscription. They pay fees. So we trade one school as a student and that student 25,000 rupees fees for the year.
Okay.
So that gives you access to 52 Sundays, 52 Saturdays.
Okay.
So 4 sessions, only 2,500 rupees. And you get a Zoom link you can share with any number of people in your school. So what the schools do is they create a reading club, they give it to the librarian, they give it to the parents, they give it to the children, go home and read. And that's how we get our audience.
Wow.
So this is My Good School.
I mean, this is, I think.
We have demolished school. We've become schooling. We have become schooling. People never understand what we did. And we fish inside the school to take out children.
And the best part is that you're actually teaching the teacher as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You had a session of half an hour with me. Imagine if I could give this half an hour session to every teacher in the country.
They would actually, I was thinking about it because we're so into pedagogy, syllabus. I mean, I don't blame
Don't
them.
need all that.
Kind of.
I mean, where was pedagogy and syllabus 200 years back? Pedagogy and syllabus were created as a business model by the affiliation agencies. CBSE sets a few million tickets and it's precious to CBSE. CBSE is not concerned whether the child learns or not. CBSE says, okay, sign up students, give me fees. Do a subject in school, give me fees. Grow your school strength, give me fees. After that, go die and then pay for the certificates.
Thank you.
And on the certificates, we will give 100 marks to everyone, so everyone feels happy end of the day. And you're talking of reading thriving.
Yes. Somewhere I was having high hopes, but I must say, you have single-handedly just stripped the schools of their blinkers and say, you know what? Read.
I've said this in public gathering.
Wow.
I spoke in Jaipur at the school news conference and I said, schools are
Hmm.
dead. You're not doing anything. You are only running it as a selfish business and you're
Hmm.
squeezing me for your business.
Hmm.
I said, let me tell you one thing. You haven't understood that the more people see us, the more people will feel you're not doing enough.
Yes.
And they'll get you to perform.
Yes. I mean, I think this is a rebel. It's like you're like Moses parting this Red Sea, honest.
And yesterday, just 24 hours back,
Hmm.
I was in New Delhi. Bharti Airtel Foundation. Bharti Foundation
Hmm.
has created the teacher app. It's a
Hmm.
free app. Now I'm
Hmm.
going a step further. The
Hmm.
teacher app is a free app because Airtel made it. They have the technology, they have the bandwidth.
Hmm.
And what Airtel said that as you are a foundation, why
Hmm.
don't you feed content from your end into the teacher's app?
Hmm.
So I said, okay, you start with our podcast library, pick up a video library, pick up our
Hmm.
teacher's blog, pick up our
Hmm.
student's blog, and your app is populated. You do nothing. So we
Wow.
had so much content with us, they had the technology with them. So
Hmm.
that's why when they announced the app yesterday or they inaugurated the app, they named a few partners. And in the partner list, you know what they said? Good School Alliance and Google in the same breath.
Wow. Congratulations. I still now I have hope. My hope in future is
Yeah, yeah,
restored.
100%. I'm a pure optimist in today's day. Pure optimist. Pure optimist because I've seen working in rural. I currently run a school 40 kilometers from here. What I did last month, took a bus in that village,
Hmm.
asked all those teachers, चलो बस में घूमने चलते हैं. बच्चे भी
Hmm.
ले लो, teacher भी ले लो. I got
Hmm.
15. And I had 15 from me schools who were in the cities who were camping there in that school. I put them
Hmm.
on a bus, hey, chalo, Dul school chalte hain. I called up Dul school, lay out lunch, open the gate. I'm getting a bunch of people who must go
Wow.
inside your school. I'm part of the Dul school management, so I could do something like that. So they
Okay.
opened the gate and they had half a dozen school masters at various
Hmm.
points to be with us. They showed us the design center, they showed us the library, they showed us the Rose Bowl music school, art school,
Hmm.
and they gave us a lunch. The headmaster came and sat and spoke to every child of their village school and teacher. At the
Wow.
gate, you know what they told me? Sir, हम तो कभी बस में शहर भी नहीं आए थे.
Oh God.
This is the India you're living in. Teacher had
Yes.
not seen the town, and teacher
Hmm.
expected to prepare a child for the world of the future. So where
Hmm.
are we? Where are we? Where are we? We are in a very a world of we are zoomed out.
I think somewhere, yes, I agree. We zoomed out. Somewhere, I think we're focusing on one space and cribbing about why isn't this going forward. Whereas our focus on it's quite kind of appalling because here I am saying that children don't read, and there they are who want to read but they don't have an access. So
Okay, I'll do
bridging
two
that
things here.
gap.
I'll give you the video access as
Hmm,
well as text access to this conversation.
hmm.
It'll give you solid content.
Yes, yes, I would love to. So here I come with my final question because I don't want to eat up into your time. We have already passed 7 minutes, and I just have two questions. One, I want you to give me a conclusion as to why is reading important for every child from every background today because we are supposedly preparing, not supposedly, but we are preparing children from whichever background they come from to become global citizens because they don't have a choice but to go out there and put themselves out in all sorts of harsh conditions to
No, okay,
live.
let me tell you one thing. Let me make it simple.
Hmm.
Reading is not important. Studying
Hmm.
is not important because the philosophy of a school should be
Hmm.
service,
Hmm.
skill, sport, and study.
Hmm.
So,
Sport.
service, SER comes first, skill
Hmm.
comes second, sport
Hmm.
comes third, and study comes fourth.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, study only gives me the reading alibi,
Hmm.
while
Hmm.
while my service element, my skill element, and
Hmm.
my sport element, which forms
Hmm.
75% of me, does not need the reading alibi. The reading alibi only got into prominence because of that CBSE selling 100% exams. And I'm not demolishing the reading should not be there. But the interesting bit is today the expanse, you can, a 13-year-old just won an IPL contract for you know how much? 13-year-old.
13-year-old, yes.
$130,000.
Yes.
He was picked up for IPL. So why should I read?
Shouldn't you read? Even if you've picked up, even if you come with heavy price tag.
See, Arjun had to shoot the fish's eye.
Hmm.
If he was reading books, he wouldn't be practicing hitting the fishing eye.
Okay. That way. Okay.
So
Yes.
this is the thing. If you know where you have to go, you will read.
Okay.
If you know where you have to go in whatever you have to go, you will have your priorities. And nothing holds you from that. You will run bare feet, you'll run a marathon, and you'll win it. Reading does two clearly good things. It slows you down to a melody or a pace of the text. And second, it helps you look and use your gaze in a pinpointed manner. So from these two perspectives, it's a therapy, it's a exercise, slows you down and look at every alphabet. Let me tell you one thing, we have reached a stage that people can't even find missing full stops, commas, wrong spellings.
Yes.
So reading helps you if you want to become a surgeon, if you want to use needle and thread, reading will help you. This closes the reason why we need reading. Reading will help you focus. So reading is nothing but focus of great depth. So if I was to bowl to the mid wicket, reading would help me, my eye would get fixed on the mid wicket. And if reading is there, it helps me use my eye to the max. A screen is just a few pixels. So you don't have to look deeply. But if I have to look at text on a book in a micro sense, then I'm doing micro focusing.
I agree. And I think this is one conversation that I have to share with my friends also because you just helped me challenge my own perspective about reading. And I have to go back and think on a broader level about whatever you've said because maybe I was blinkered till now and I will have to go back and look into whatever you've said and share this with my other friends so that we get a broader perspective of this whole activity that we find a sanctuary in. But yes, at the same time, I think I will let you go with just one request, sir. If you could mail us or if you could, kind of WhatsApp or anything. We are taking book recommendations for a quarter by one contributor of ours. So you will be our first contributor giving us 3 book recommendations.
So what I will do, one sec. So you are with me somewhere here. I just put a be happy there. So I'm writing a
Yes.
hi there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you 2 URLs.
Yes.
So every Saturday, we recommend 5 books.
Okay.
Okay. It's very simple, growingknowledge.com. So that's one URL. That's one URL. And then this is what we read on Sundays. So that's the second URL I'm giving you. The books we've read on Sundays.
Okay.
It's very difficult for me to give 5. I can give you 25.
It's spoken like a true bibliophile.
So I've given you 2 URLs. Now in this URL, write your email in your WhatsApp just below the URL, and I will share this conversation with you just now.
Okay. Okay. I'll
share it right here, and then you can confirm you've got the conversation. Don't chase me after that.
No. This is my good school. Join now. It says.
Yeah. Join. I mean, it won't ask you to pay. You join, and then in that you'll see a library there. So pick up whatever you want to read.
Okay, so I'll have 3
Here are the books.
recommendations.
Yeah, these are the books we've read in my good school with children. So you can pick up 1 Hindi and 4 English or whatever, up to you.
Okay. I would love to see what the Hindi collections are. Apart from this, I think I will also just WhatsApp my email ID to you just in case if
Yeah,
uh,
just add it. I will add it to my this
yes,
to my AI assistant who's been doing all the hard work, recording everything. I'll share it with the AI assistant, and the AI
yes,
assistant will give you the content you need. It will also list something which you and me should think about post the call.
yes. I have a lot to think about post this call, a lot. And it was a pleasure talking to you, sir. It was wonderful talking to you. Uh, Thank you so much. I've taken actually 15 minutes more of your time, but I think I'm kind of going out wiser from this conversation, a little more wiser than what I never was, perhaps.
Give my love to Faiza.
I will, I will,
I
I
hope I
will.
pronounced her name correctly.
Faiza, yes, Faiza.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much. God
Thank
bless
you
you.
so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.